How's it going, guys? It's Cole from See-Through Panel, showing off Dandadan Volume 3 by Yukinobu Tatsu, published by Viz under their Shonen Jump line and retailing for $10 US. I love this back cover, the absurdity of it. Before I get too far into this video, I will say I'm going to be lightly spoiling the plot for this book. I've been covering this series a little more in-depth than a lot of the series I cover, mostly because I'm getting kind of used to the manga style, and I think while showing off the art is very good, I think there's a lot of crazy things that are hard to describe that I can only properly explain to you by going over the plot. That being said, the plot is insane, and it may still sound like nonsense even after I talk about it. So let's get into this. I do like to do full color art on the inside pages here. A little rehashing of the characters. The last character we got introduced to here, the last two characters, was Era and Acrobatic Silky, and that arc is going to wrap up in this volume, going straight into, here's the table of contents, going straight into the fight we were in with Acro Silky in Volume 2. What we do know is that Silky is trying to protect or get Era. I don't know what for, or you don't know at the beginning. And I won't even spoil that, but we are in some sort of warehouse on the school grounds, and the fights in this book continue to be absolutely beautiful, with excellent choreography, excellent motion, really simple and clean layouts. Most manga has just very well done, very readable layouts, something I really enjoy about it. And as always with manga, the backgrounds are entirely fleshed out, just as much as the foreground as the characters and the action. Dandadan, if you haven't seen the other two videos or read the book, is a story in which anything can happen. Aliens are real, almost all conspiracy theories are real, cryptids are real, magic, everything. Everything is on the table, and everything is absolutely insane. And you never really know where things are going to go. Like, this character's hair is kind of like a Medusa from the Inhumans, where she can control it, pick up things with it, use it to move quickly. There's our two main characters, Okarun and Momo. I've really been enjoying this series just because of how off the wall and just, it's pure lunacy, really. And you never know what's going to happen. You really can't tell when something's either going to make you laugh, confuse you, or just hit you right in the heart. And a lot of that happens. All three of those things really happen in this volume. There are some really emotionally resonant bits that come out. Well, look at that spread there. Really, really dark, bold lines to bring the foot to the foreground, while the actual background is just insanely well detailed. Lines are getting smaller and smaller as you get further away from that foot. All the little teeth breaking, the hair getting blasted away. I never really know how to tell if manga is made traditionally or digitally. I kind of feel like this is traditional just because when I look at these lines here, they look organic, if you know what I mean. They look like they were really put down on paper. I don't know if that's true. It could definitely be done digitally in the same way, but it just feels that way. And I know they have assistants. A lot of manga artists have assistants that'll do backgrounds and stuff for them. So sometimes stylistically, the background will clash with the foreground. It doesn't happen a lot in this book. I think I only can recall one page where I was like, that kind of looks like an assistant did the background there. But most of the time it's just amazing to look at. I love the character designs. The ideas with the powers are very funny but very well executed. Just the variety in which the powers are used to very weird effect is always fun to see. And like I said in the last two volumes, horror is a real element in this book. It's such a goofy book with teenagers and like doing crazy things like fighting aliens and defending themselves against a ghost granny that wants to steal the guy's balls. But then stuff like this happens, and it's just creepy and off-putting, man. That's worse than some Junji Ito pages I've seen. And then just continues to be some walrus teeth going on there. Continues to be just really off-putting with this character, but there is a turn where things go a completely different way. And here we are in a flashback to a character we had no idea was involved in the story, but all of a sudden is kind of the focal point. And I won't get too into what this is. I do want to show off just a heart-wrenching page. This is the actual background that looked assistant done to me because it's so inky and dark compared to the rest of the page. I don't actually know if that's true. It could definitely just be Tatsu changing up the style or having a dark background for reasons to make it read better or something, but just this building here as opposed to this background they kind of clashed to me. But still, like, just insane. Like, the geometry of their backgrounds is always so perfect and clear, and the lines are always so perfectly straight and everything's on a grid, and it's really impressive when I see manga do that, and a lot of manga does do that. This character's face and the grandma's face are so different from the normal female characters in this book that it makes me wonder if Tatsu made Momo and Era look so similar for a reason, because they are nearly indistinguishable to me, other than the fact that Era always has like the blushing lines. She's got a bit of a girlier attitude, I'll say, even though it's definitely not the right word for it, than Momo, but they are so similar in look, except for their hair color, that I wonder if that was a choice that he's actively making or not. I think it must be, because the other character, like, I guess I didn't show it there, the grandma, that's not exactly, like, it looks like Momo, kind of, but it's different, and you can tell it's a different character through and through, because of the clothing, because of the hair, and a little bit because of the facial features. But yeah, these two characters are so similar, and look at this. The style, when Tatsu's trying to make something horrific, is just so bold. So much ink on the page all the time. And even the dialogue gets a little creepy in a book with such casual dialogue. I do love the facial expressions in this book. They always land very well for me. I'm going really slowly through this because it's just, I've really enjoyed the story. This feels like a whole volume of a manga here, but it ends about here, and we get all this. Like, we're not even halfway through this volume. We're barely past a quarter, and that's a whole arc basically done. And I was just so impressed at the pacing and the ability to just tell a full story in so few pages. Obviously, manga is very decompressed compared to Western comics, but in this book, it works super well. You always feel like you're getting a full story with every arc, and usually there's multiple arcs in a volume. I've noticed Tatsu tends to put the opening of an arc at the end half of the volume, and then you'll finish it in the next arc, which is really propels you through the story and keeps you really wanting to read more, which is sad because I'm waiting multiple months between each volume. I may even just continue reading this digitally. That is, as a spoiler, that is Turbo Granny turned into a little cat from the first two volumes, who's now part of the family, basically. And so is Era, as we get through this. Getting through some of this, we'll get to the opening of the next arc and the discovery of, another spoiler here, Era getting her own set of powers, very similar to Okarun's power in aesthetic and in ability, really. Awesome full panel there. It's shonen, it's trying to appeal to young boys, so they always have to get a little bit cheesecakey with some of this stuff, which will pop back up in the ending of this volume. But to be fair to both genders, they do boys and girls similarly, where, I mean, Okarun's running around naked in the second half of the story a lot, so at least they're being fairly equal about it. I love this boxer guy who's on the back cover. Let's see if I can find where he pops up. Yeah, there's that page that's on the back cover. I guess they cut Okarun out of it. Interesting. But yeah, all this to say, I'm still enjoying this equally or even more so than I was before. A lot of shadowing to cover up the privates of Okarun in this volume. Another ridiculously bold set of lines to bring things to the foreground. Works magnificently every time. Breaking the sound barrier here. You probably recognize these guys and this from the first volume. They make a return. Really cool design, obviously. He just always loves to have some like really intricate patterns and geometry on a lot of his monster designs and characters, which I appreciate. It's really fun to look at. And that is where I'll be spoiling what this is, if you can't already tell. The Loch Ness Monster. So they're fighting aliens in their school in like a psychic ghost zone with the Loch Ness Monster. And getting straight to the back of the book, they then fuse into the Loch Ness Monster. The aliens and the Loch Ness Monster do a little fusion, and this is the outcome. And I love it. It's wonderful. Of course, we need to have reasons to have the females take their clothes off, but it's not too overdone. I mean, it's going to happen in shonen. I'm getting more used to it as time goes on. But one more funny... This is a great one. And like I said, it's not just the girls, so at least there's something going there. I mean, this dude is running around with his one ball hanging out. He's got one ball. That's a light spoiler, I suppose. This is very funny. The way he's flying through this water right now is she's using her psychic powers to just, like a fish, just squeeze him at super fast speeds and strength. So he's jumping out of the water. The ceiling is also water, so they go straight into the ceiling to rescue Era. I mean, yeah, it just gets batshit. And then we get a fun little bonus story with the grandma and our two main characters in a race. And then we get the Turbo Granny in cat form saying she can kill him whenever she wants to. But she gets fed a nice meal, and so she lets him live for now. Obviously, in the back of every volume, we're getting just little art and explanation of the different enemies there. Oh, my dog just came to lay down, if you heard that at all. And then Yukinobu puts a little... I recently had a scary experience. I overwrote the data on some final pages for an entire chapter. It was truly frightening. I always like his little stories and insight into his personal life that he puts in there. Some ads in the back. Classic manga and Western comic stuff. It's always going to be there. But I love this story. I really want to find other things that will kind of scratch this itch for me. Something super fun and lighthearted. It's even got a bit of romance in there with the two main characters. This isn't Momo, but I keep thinking it is. With these two main characters, which if you're into that, that's in here too. Definitely not a huge part of the story, but still present nonetheless. Doesn't detract. Definitely just adds if you're into that. I did start reading Witch Hat Atelier. I thought it was Atelier, but I've read that it's French and it's Atelier. That's been awesome. I'm going to order the volumes here physically. I've been reading them digitally, so I'm going to cover that on the channel soon because it's such a lighthearted, fun, whimsical, Studio Ghibli, Miyazaki-esque story that I just have fallen in love with it. I can't tell if I like it more than Dandadan just yet. So far, this is my current favorite manga that I'm reading, but Witch Hat Atelier is definitely up there. If you're into either of these series, let me know what else you're into, because I think your taste will probably align with mine, because, yeah, this is definitely one of my favorite things I've been reading recently. So, thanks a lot for watching, guys. Peace.